I'm Greg Hunter. Welcome to USAWatchdog.com. With us, our next guest has some shocking news about our government and the way it does business. She's a regular guest. Let me first promote this here. Here's her what she does for quarterly report every quarter for the people that subscribe to her service. It's the Solar Report, of course. And they come out, once every 3 months, a quarter report, of course. And I feel like a first grader next to a college professor whenever I look at her site. It's way better than USAWatchdog.com. But the shocking news I want to talk about is something that the Solar Report came out with. And it is, and I just want to read their headline. It's, hold on, let me get in here with it. It's HUD and DOD, the 21 trillion of undocumentable adjustments. I would call it just simply missing money. And let's bring her on, Catherine Austin Fitz of the Solar Report and Solari.com, the president of Solari.com. Catherine Austin Fitz, thank you for joining us today on USAWatchdog.com.
I've been so looking forward to talking to you.
I mean,
isn't that extraordinary?
Yes, $21 trillion, and you have Professor Skidmore who helped you with this, and I just wanted to show, I don't want people's eyes to cross over, but when you say 21 trillion, you're 21, oh, come on, 21 trillion, is that just a guess? Oh, no, not a guess. No, it's a detailed layout of where the money and exactly where it happened. This is you and Dr. Skidmore's work, line by line, year by year, just to let you know of exactly how you came up with the number 21 trillion of what you call undocumented adjustments, or what I would call 21 trillion and missing money and business and money laundering and basically fraud. 21 trillion is a huge number. What does that tell us about what's going on in our government?
This is $65,000 for every man, woman, and child resident in America, first and foremost. And in addition, Greg, it is now more than the outstanding debt, official debt on the U.S. balance sheet. So we just saw a headline about 4 to 6 weeks ago saying the U.S. debt had crossed $20 trillion. So now the missing money is now more than the $21 trillion missing from the U.S. government.
So wait, so let me get this, just so people understand the vastness of this. So we're talking a cash balance that we know in our accounting we're down 20 trillion. And then you're saying there's another $21 trillion of business that's been done. $41 trillion of a black hole.
Here's what we know. So we know that the U.S. government has been run as basically a criminal enterprise from a financial standpoint. So under the appropriations clause of Article 1 of the Constitution and the financial management laws, we are required to, the U.S. government, the executive branch, is required not to spend money unless it's been envisioned in an appropriation and made transparent. Now, there have been some exceptions. You have intelligence agency spending that is transparent, supposedly, to the appropriate committees, but not fully transparent to the citizens for reasons of national security. But we're not talking about that. We're talking about an amount that is many multiples of the budget. So, for example, there's 20 trillion of undocumentable adjustments at DOD since 1998. That is almost 3 times the DOD budget for the entire period, 1998 to 2015. Dr. Skidmore became interested in this because he heard me give an interview saying that in 2015, there was 6.5 trillion of undocumentable adjustments at the Department of Defense. And he assumed that I was wrong, that it couldn't be possible that the Department of Defense would have essentially, transactions that couldn't be proved to be legal of 10 times their total budget. So he dug in and discovered, yes, I was correct. And that is when he, very nobly offered to have some of his graduate students work with him to dig out and check every document between 1998, when this phenomena started, and 2015. And we agreed we would put them all up on the website, which you've pointed out. And so
it's an amazing, I just want to insert here, hold on with your thought. It's an amazing piece of detailed year by year, dollar by dollar. It's not just some number out of the air. It is an amazing piece of accounting. It's stunning.
And
And it's stunning
well,
because it's so. How do you come up with this? Here. It's absolutely unbelievable. Go ahead. I'm sorry. I just wanted to comment on his
I
work.
feel much more confident because I'm an investment banker. I'm an investment advisor. I'm not a scholar. And so having Dr. Skidmore and his graduate students go through this independently and review, authenticate, confirm, and do a much more thorough job than I've ever done is really very gratifying. So, I'm extremely appreciative of having that kind of scholarship available. And so we were delighted to be able to just get it all up on the website. And of course, covering it is a report that Dr. Skidmore wrote about the undocumentable adjustments when we were at, I think, 18 or 19 trillion. So he's found several trillion more since that time. And so the report has a slightly lower number. That's the difference. But we plan on just continuing to do this. Now, this is two of what used to be the 21 covered agencies. We have not gone through the other 19 agencies. I would expect, because of the housing bubble and sort of the traditional black budget fraud at HUD, that HUD and DOD would be the worst. But I don't know. There's no telling. Here's the thing. If the federal government has refused to produce audited financial statements as required by law and has refused to comply with the financial laws, whether Constitution or the Financial Management Acts, since 1998, there's no telling of how bad it is. As you know, I was working with a reporter on a very big story coming in. It was going to be published on September 15th, 2001. And then Donald Rumsfeld did a basic modified hangout saying there was 2.3 trillion. At that point, there was 4 trillion missing. He said 2.3 trillion. And then 9/11 happened, and no one cared about this for a long, long time. Now, what you saw during 9/11 was a lot of the documents, including one of the investigations into the missing money, destroyed, basically burnt and blown up. So, and the Army kept
I'm sure that was just a coincidence.
terrible coincidence, just remarkable coincidence.
Yeah.
And, a lot of people say to me, how can a government spend, 10 times the money that comes in one year? The reality is, with securities fraud and all the different credit and insurance programs like you have at HUD, you absolutely can do it, but it requires securities fraud, which is why having Solomon Brothers, come down, and some of Cantor Fitzgerald and some of the other government and mortgage dealers come down, and the different SEC and FBI investigations into that securities fraud. So, I always said the bailouts were really triggered by the fact that we issued trillions in fraudulent securities to finance what I call the financial coup d'etat. Let me step back and just tell you one story that I want you to know to get some perspective. The reason why I started to look at this, because I've been reporting on this issue since 1998. I was part of an effort working with the pension funds in 1997 to try and show them how we could re-engineer government spending and credit and resources in this country to get a positive return on investment, and do it in a way that would make sure the pension funds could fund their liabilities. That was very important to us, Greg. So, you had the boomers coming up, you had a bulge, and you really had to get excellent performance on the pension funds. So I made a presentation to a group of fabulous pension fund leaders on how we could do that. We had a plan, and you really could do that. And the president of CalPERS was there. It was the largest pension fund in the country. And he froze and said, "You don't understand. It's too late. They've given up on the country. They're moving all the money out starting in the fall." Now, I thought that fall was the beginning of fiscal 1998. The federal fiscal year, starts in October 1. So I thought he meant, we're adjusting the allocations and we're going to shift all the money legally into investing in the emerging markets as part of globalization. What I didn't realize was, starting in October 1, 1997, all this money started to go missing at HUD, and suddenly you had all these money managers suddenly getting windfall amounts of capital, and you were saying, how did they raise that amount? It was like one miracle after another. They were just raising infinite amount of money, and you thought, where is that money come from? I came to believe, for example, that the money going missing from HUD was being laundered out through Enron, which is how I got so involved in covering the Enron fraud. But Anyway, so you had this bulge of money showing up mysteriously at all these different places and money managers, but at the same time, you had money disappearing because what happened was when HUD came out with their fiscal 1998 financials and 99 financials, we discovered, because we were watching, that 59 billion had gone missing. I think it was fiscal 99. 17 billion had gone missing in the open accounts. It was 98 or 99. So you had a total of 70 billion, which for HUD was a fantastic amount of money. And I tried to get many different people interested in, and I couldn't get anybody interested. They were too embroiled in, navy blue dresses and sex scandals over the impeachment.
Yeah.
But you couldn't get. So I worked with a reporter, and we kept getting stories published about the missing money in HUD, the missing money at DOD. We kept trying to get the GAO to publish the names of the contractors, because here's the thing: if you look at all the programs where the money was going missing, you have the New York Fed member banks, our bailout friends who got bailed out on the bailout. So you have the big New York Fed member banks, you have the New York Fed, and then you have the big defense contractors facilitating the transactions. So if you want to get the money back, you have to hold them liable, and you have to get their records and figure out where the money went. But here's the thing: as a legal matter, they were affecting massive illegal transactions. They clearly knew it, and so they are liable.
If you fast forward to now where we're worried about taking a knee and all that, that's just all part of the divide and conquer, right? That's people that they're trying to look over here, look over here, look over here, and meanwhile, as a country, we're being robbed, we're being gutted. They are basically gutting the country financially, correct?
Here's the play. So I'm going to talk about two extremes. What they want to do is what I call the rape of Russia. They want to do what they did in Russia. The U.S. intelligence agencies, Harvard, law firms, investment banks went into Russia and basically stripped the place in right after the fall of the Soviet Union. So, and Ann Williamson has done a great job of documenting that plan. If you want to see how it worked in Russia, I think 10 to 25 million people died. They really went through a significant die-off as a result of the implosion of the economy. So we can do the rape of Russia, or we can enforce the Constitution. Now, to get to the rape of Russia, what they want to do is tear up the Constitution. So you can do that by having a constitutional convention. You can do that by imploding the federal government in a variety of ways. I was just listening at a conference to a presentation by an activist saying, here's how we're going to use blockchain technology to implode the government, and then we privatize everything. It was basically the rape of Russia plan. So what I'm saying is, no, we want to enforce the Constitution. And in the second quarter wrap-up, I give you a lot of ideas, and I talk with Congressman McKinney, who had been on this issue from, as soon as the money started to go missing, she nailed this issue and was on it. So I talk about all the different ways we could enforce the Constitution, and there are many ways we can do it. But the first thing we need to do is not be sucker trapped by the divide and conquers. Because all these different divide and conquer games like Charlottesville or the NFL or, you name it, it goes on and on and on, is all geared to make us, distract us. So, it's funny, when I live in a very segregated community and there's all sorts of, squabbles about race. And when I first got here, I said, look, if you guys will just collaborate about the money, you can hate each other rich instead of hating each other poor. I don't require you to like each other, but just collaborate on the money under the Constitution. And, because right now the criminals are playing us against each other. And my story. I went to visit the chief of staff to the chairman of the Appropriations Subcommittee that oversees HUD and Treasury and many other agencies. And that's the most powerful position outside of the presidency, and when it comes to cutting up the money. So it's the Senate chairman and then the chairman in the House. And so, let me just fix this. So I went to see this person, and somebody I didn't know well. It was 2000. And they said, what do you think is going on at HUD? And I said, I don't know. What do you think is going on at HUD? Now, remember, this is the person who runs the operation for the chairman of the Appropriation Committee. They said to me, HUD is being run as a criminal enterprise. Now, HUD is run on a matrix structure by the New York Fed member banks, the New York Fed, the Treasury. I would have to confess, I think the CIA, and a few other agencies. And so for HUD to be run and you have a series of corporate contractors. For HUD to be run as a criminal enterprise, that group has to intentionally run it as a criminal enterprise. So if HUD is a criminal enterprise, then the federal government is being run as a criminal enterprise. And if you look at the money, it is. In other words, you can't run the federal government this far outside of the appropriation clause, and I would argue the war clause under Article 1, and have it be legal.
Is they don't want the Constitution. That's why they're Washington was a slave owner, Jefferson was a slave owner. These people are racist. They're racist. We don't need this Constitution. That's why they want to rip up the Constitution. They want to rip it up. Is what that and you're saying you've got to follow the Constitution. Protects everybody.
Okay. So did you ever see the movie The Gladiator?
Yes.
There's a fabulous line in the slave quarters when one of the gladiators turns to the guy played by Russell Crowe, the hero, and says, before they can kill you, they have to kill your name. Okay? So if you want to tear up the Constitution, you want to destroy the name and reputation of the people who wrote the Constitution, right?
Yes. White racist slave owners.
Right.
That's what they're saying.
Right. So here's the critical issue, because technology is now leading us through tremendous change. Okay. And the people who get their hands on this technology and are able to subsidize cost of capital are the ones who are going to win. Now, they've done that by basically hijacking the federal credit and using it to help centralize power under them. So we have to reverse that. And the Constitution is the tool to hold them accountable, because all of their arguments fall down when you realize they've just stolen an enormous amount of money from the federal government outside the law.
And when you say outside the law, you're saying that, listen, this was not approved. You just did business. You did business on your own, unapproved, off the books, out of sight. Whether it's money laundering or buying things or whatever it is, you guys did this and you didn't follow the law, and therefore it's all illegal.
So the federal government is not the problem. Okay, so for example, when I was Assistant Secretary of Housing, I was required by the law to run the large single-family mortgage fund according to, it was supposed to be self-supporting. So I had to charge premiums that were higher than the total costs and the cost of foreclosure. And to do that, to understand how to do that, I had to get the basic data about the programs. And I would go to the large defense contractor at HUD who ran the payment systems, and they refused to give me the information. They would just say no. And there was nothing I could do. Okay. So if we want to have if I want to be a sovereign individual, and I want to have a sovereign government, the U.S. federal government doesn't have information sovereignty, and it doesn't have financial sovereignty. Okay. So we have to return it to that, and we have to keep that mechanism open long enough to get this money back. So what you and I want, given the technological explosion that's happening, is you and I want to end up living in a society that believes in human values and allows you and I to have individual and property rights, which come to us by party.
Which is what the Constitution is all about.
Right. So you want to preserve the Constitution because you want to have individual sovereignty, and you want your taxes to only go into something that has financial and national sovereignty. And so that has to be restored. And that mechanism, the reason they want to tear up the Constitution is they don't want to give the money back. That's a legal mechanism that requires us and gives us the power to reverse this. Now, let me explain. If you and I have a debate about what we should do about the budget going forward, and they say, well, we have $20 trillion of debt, there's no money, it's a very different policy discussion than if I can say, wait a minute, there's 20 trillion of debt, but you stole 21 trillion of something, and we're putting that back on the table for purposes of this policy discussion.
Boom, boom, boom. So right. And it's just, and I'm gonna try to bring this in to a current thing, which is the thing that just happened with Roy Moore, the Republicans, the swamp. Karl Rove, he looked like he ate a crap sandwich when he was talking about this loss. They spent $30 million to Roy Moore's $2 million. The people of Alabama said, hey, you did that. No, we want Roy Moore. They know there's something wrong. but they don't
Right.
quite know what it is. And what it is we have a bunch of weasels that are trying to overthrow the country and not follow the Constitution and rob us. I mean, that's the clef note. Is that right? That's the real reason why people like Roy Moore are winning. People know there's something wrong.
They know there's something wrong. The other thing is, remember, the leadership, people who win in a rigged game get stupid. If you look at the tools that have been, our third quarter wrap up is going to be called Control 101. And it's about how basically these folks rolled the local guys. Okay, if I had to write a history of America since 1947, the title would be How the Local Guys Got Rolled. So the local guys are starting to get back in the game, because once you realize it's a criminal enterprise, you realize, oh, okay, I've got to break loose and, and proceed to do an independent thing, and people are beginning to support it. Now, if you look at all the tools they've used to manipulate, like fake news, like entrainment technology, all those different things, they've been working for years, and they're not working now because people are starting, math is a great tool, and they're starting to look and count at how the money is. The other thing is, you have a lot of people in this country who are having a deep, very deep primordial reaction, really aversion to the incredibly perverted philosophy that's being promoted. Leonard Cohen has a wonderful song where he said, we were blinded by the beauty of our weapons. These people have developed an incredible hubris as a result of their ability to use these technologies, whether it's weaponry or entrainment or all these other things, to get their way. And it's made them stupid. The leadership has inadvertently gotten debased, and we've gotten debased, but people are waking up. And here's the magic trick about all this. I want to tell you two things if you get into the sort of mapping out the financial ecosystems. One, Greg, it doesn't take everybody to change this. All you need is 5 or 10% of the population to completely turn this around. It doesn't take everybody, and that's one of the things that's got them so scared. That's number one. But number
and that's
two,
where people like you come in.
Right. If you look at how the money works, this is the big secret. Right now, nothing works because the U.S. government, the federal money in every neighborhood, which is a very high portion in every one of 3,100 counties, has a deeply negative return on investment. If you turn that to a positive return on investment, there's plenty of money. And if you stop stealing 21, if you steal a couple $1 trillion a year, there's no money. But if if you steal several trillion, there's no money. But if you turn the government investment from a negative to a positive, and then you just cut down on the stealing, we have the money we need to fix things.
Got it. That's good. So the money's there. The whole, when you say when people say America is broke, you say America is robbed, not broke.
I would say, here's the thing: if you put your money in a mutual fund, and every year it goes down because some guys are stealing money out the back door and not paying attention and running it professionally, it doesn't matter how much more money you put in it; it's never going to work. You got to shut off the drain. It's like, imagine a dairy farmer who's got a hole in his can and he keeps milking the cows and the milk keeps running out the back. And the solution is not to go get more milk. The solution is not to shoot the farmer. The solution is not to shoot the cow. The solution is get a can that doesn't have a hole in the bottom.
Plug the hole.
Right.
Stop the theft, plug the hole. Stop the theft, plug the hole. Follow the Constitution.
Congress cannot do this because the people who are doing this are very, very dangerous. Ultimately, there are many different mechanisms of control. There are legal mechanisms.
Well, wait, stop. I want you to come back. I want you to back up. I want you to explain what you just said. The people that are doing this are very, very dangerous. Please don't gloss over that. What are you talking about?
So that's what I'm fleshing out. So the people who run things don't like to use physical violence to get their way because physical violence is too noticeable. They like to use entrainment technology and subliminal program. They like to use fake news. They like to use legal and financial mechanisms, lawsuits, hassle. They like to hack your systems, and so anytime they can deliver control invisibly, they like to do it. They're very, very clever. But the reality is ultimately this is all backed up by the ability to kill with impunity. And these people kill. They're dangerous. So, people are afraid. And, if you go to Washington, whether a congressman is doing it because he's afraid for, he doesn't want to have happen what happened to the last congressman who got shot at the baseball game. So he doesn't want to be the one to get shot, and he doesn't want his kids to get shot or hit in a car accident by a hit and run. He doesn't want, or maybe he has a control file from all the pedophilia. So the reality is a centralized system can't do this without a broad-based effort by the 5 to 10% asserting both individual sovereignty and national sovereignty. We don't need to implode the federal government. We need to take it back and clean it up and get it to run according to the law.
When you talk about the fake news, they're all. I mean, it's to me as a journalist. I mean, you used to try. I mean, I was there until 2008, CNN, and I actually did real investigative work, which I think is what got me my contract not renewed. I got it right, and they got pissed. And I don't have any pedophilia. I don't have any control file. And so they looked at me and went, "This guy's a Boy Scout. Get rid of him." And but that's so what do they got left up there? What do they have left?
So we've been centralizing control in media, in Congress, in all these different places. And what's happened is all the honest people have been pushed out. I shouldn't say all the honest, because there's some honest people left. Another big secret here, Greg, is the world is full of fabulous, professional, competent, capable reporters like you, fabulous government senior bureaucrats who know how to fix this and lead it, like Bill Binney. I mean, I could go on and on. The world is full of highly wonderful, ethical, competent, capable people who know how to turn this around. The reality, though, is we have to deal with the criminal enterprise that's happening, and we have to take back control of the legal mechanisms, and that's going to take at least 5 or 10% of us organizing around enforcing the Constitution. And to me, the Appropriations Clause is a wonderful place to start. And of course, that's going to have implications to the war clauses, because the money is intimately tied up with doing illegal wars all over the world. So that is what has to happen. But rest assured, the speed at which this could turn around, if you said to all the Bill Binneys and Tom Drakes and Kirk Wiebeys of the world, just go in and show us how to fix it, you'd be amazed at the speed that it could be fixed. Again, because the money is run on such a negative return on investment, and the people are the people who are helping centralize, not the people who are helping things optimize, which is what we want.
I'm just it's just sickens me to see the mainstream press now. It's propaganda. I mean, that's all. These people are captured in some way, shape, or form. They have to. I mean, I watched Jim Acosta, and I hope he's watching this. He is a propagandist. I mean, Don Lemon is a propagandist. I mean, Lester Holt is a highly paid shill. I mean, these people are phonies.
I don't care about any of them, because we don't have to bank at J.P. Morgan Chase or Citibank, and we don't have to watch any of those people. So I don't need to watch. My time is precious. Your time is precious. We're coming through a period of change, and that means our time is double, triple, quadruple precious. We need to be watching you and turn them off. So just turn them all off. Let them go away. Nobody watches them, die.
Well, one of the people that you should turn on is, of course, Catherine Austin-Fitts. This is just the quarter report. I mean, the next one's coming out. You were talking about.
What the title is, because I love the title.
Okay. Yes, enforce the Constitution or kiss your money goodbye. I mean, there you got a little kiss on Washington's head. That terrible white nationalist racist. I'm joking. I love Washington. I love the founding fathers. Enforce the Constitution or kiss your money goodbye. I mean, that is the message. You guys got to get awake. You got to understand what's being done and how you're being divided, and the whole take a knee thing, even though it's disgusting. It's not what's going on. We're being robbed by criminals.
One of my favorite quotes is a British intelligence officer once said, "Washington didn't defeat us. He out-intelligenced us," which means Washington had a better intelligence operation. And that's why it's so important that we do the Solari Report or USA Watchdog. What people need to get, they need to get a better map. They need to get superior intelligence. And how do you turn around and defeat all the money in the planet? By getting superior intelligence. Washington did it. We can do it too.
All right, just so you know, Catherine Austin Fitts, this is Solari Report. It's at Solari.com. She also has a subscription service, a lot of free stuff on your site. I mean, it's unbelievable. It's just well done. If all you want to do is just get a report every quarter and say, okay, what went on the last few months because I'm busy, well, this is it. And but she also has great interviews and great stuff. And here I am plugging your thing. It's actually yours is better than mine. But anyway, but thanks for coming on USA Watchdog again, Catherine Austin Fitts. You are a advisor, a big time money advisor. You handle billions of dollars at HUD as the assistant housing secretary. And thanks for coming on and showing off your brain on USAWatchdog.com. Enforce the Constitution is your message. Thank you for joining us on USAWatchdog.com.
Thanks, Greg. Always a pleasure.